Good morning. I hope you guys aren't sick of hearing about this book series yet, because I am not sick of it yet. We're here to talk about the series that had me in an absolute chokehold this week. Like, just could not talk about anything else, could not do anything but read these books. This series really did it for me. So let's take a sip of our water. That is your sign, if you haven't drank any water today, to hydrate and drink you some water. Okay. You knew it was coming. When you saw my video on Monday of me running out to Barnes & Noble, like in the middle of the afternoon, because I had finished the first book, you knew it was coming. These crack cocaine books right here, let's put them in order, Lauren. One is these Hollow Vows, and two is these Twisted Bonds. These books right here, insanely good. Could not put the book down good. Now, they are what people would consider YA. So I found them in the YA section. And I guess I could see why. They're kind of like 18-ish years old. But it did not read as YA. She is not some giggly little girl who needs to be saved. It did not read as YA to me. That's Bree. Bree, or Abriella, is a badass, okay? Like, let's start this off. That's our queen right there. Literally and figuratively, in fact. So, this is going to be a full spoiler video. If you don't like spoilers, thanks for the click. But you might want to zip on out of here. So, here is our girl, Bree. And your girl, Bree, is a human. She lives in the human world. And she has a little sister named Jazz, or Yas, however you want to pronounce it. It's Jas, and it's short for a much longer name. Of course, because her name's Abriella. I don't know if I can pronounce this properly, but let me give it a shot. Jocelyn. This is the excerpt from the third book that's in this world, but not in this series. It's going to be Jazz's story. That's how you say her name, or how you spell her name. But okay, so we have Bree and Jazz, and they live in a world that pretty much has fucked them. Their dad's not around, their mom's not around. They live with their aunt, who is like charging them exorbitant rent. She keeps them in a cellar. Bree has to like be a thief in order to survive, essentially. And they're still not really surviving. And in this fucked up human world life that they have, there's a mage's apprentice who is befriended them, and Bree has a massive crush on him, even though she knows that in like this existence of her life, there's no such thing as love, because they're barely surviving. But his name is she calls him Sebastian, Bash. He's right there. And so she hears about this competition to be the Seelie Fae Prince's bride. They need a human bride to procreate. And there's two types of Fae. Well, three types, but really focuses in this series on the two types. You have Seelie, which are like the golden Fae, and then you have the Unseelie, which are the shadow Fae. Dark, gloomy, blah. And so Bree hates them both equally. She believes her mother took off with the Fae. And so just kind of abandoned her and Jazz and went off to live in the Fae world. And so she hates Fae for multiple reasons, but one mostly being the shit that she harbors with her mom taken off. So she decides that she doesn't want to do this competition, and she's like, whatever with it. But then she doesn't make rent, I guess it is. They call it their payment to her aunt on time. And her aunt, while she is off trying to save the world, her aunt sells her sister to the Unseelie king. And so Bree gets back and she's like, sorry, boo, I sold your sister. And so now Bree doesn't have a choice but to go to the Fae realm. And she goes first to the Unseelie king because she's like, look, what do you want to take me instead? What do you want to give me my sister back? And he's like, there's nothing that you could give me to get your sister back. And she's like, that's bullshit. There's always something. And he's like, you know what? Fine. Go to the Golden Court. Join this competition to be the prince's new wife, the Golden Prince, and steal 3 artifacts. And if you bring me those 3 artifacts, then then I'll give you your sister back. So she joins the competition to be the Golden Prince's bride. And you think that this is what this story is going to be about, right? Like this competition to be the Golden Prince's bride. Nope. That is the precipice of book 1. She joins this competition. She finds out that the Golden Prince is really Homie, Sebastian, Bash, aka Prince Ronan. And she's devastated because she's like, you lied to me. Takes off running when she realizes who it is, finds out there's some dangerous shit in the Fae forests. Then she bumps into a silver-eyed gentleman there named Finn and his band of miscreants, and befriends them, learns that Finn is the true heir to the Unseelie court. Essentially his uncle is the evil king that's on the throne holding her sister hostage. And so much happens. But essentially the entire vibe of these 2 books is, 1, she has to pick between the 2 princes. The one that she kind of knew before when she was a human and fell in love with in that form, but maybe isn't the same guy that she fell in love with, she's finding out. And 2, the guy who she kind of feels drawn to more, but won't allow herself to because of a variety of reasons. And so a lot of the first book is just her navigating shit with Sebastian. Is he telling me the truth? She's stealing these artifacts. Is he going to hate me after he finds out what I'm doing? Do I even care if he hates me? Because is he killing thousands of people? Is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? We don't know. So that is pretty much the concept of the first book. And at the end of the first book, she does take a bond with Sebastian. Spoiler alert. Prince Ronan, if you would. She takes the bond with him. And you think, okay, so then what's the second book about? Well, as soon as she takes the bond, she finds out that Sebastian really tricked her into this bond. In a variety of ways. She's made Fae, which she did not agree to or want. She had liked being human. And so she's been tricked into being made Fae. She's kind of been tricked into the bond with Sebastian in general. And she takes off running. And that is kind of where book 1 ends. And so book 2 jumps right into it. We have Sebastian and her on the cover. But that's kind of like a defensive pose, if you would. And then on the back, we have her and Finn, the Unseelie prince. And they look a lot more intimate than the knife almost to the throat on the front. So, we open this second book really exactly where the first book led off, which I loved because I had just finished the first book and went and purchased the second. And I thought this was just going to be about how she manages Finn and Sebastian, or which one she ultimately chooses in the end. But this became so much more than that. And I think that this is why it's a 5+ read for me, this series, and why it's going to go down as one of my favorite series that I've read. Definitely top for this year. Like right now, these might be at the top of what I've read this year. I know that's crazy to say because I've read things like A Study in Drowning. Crescent City 3 was incredible and I loved it. Those are both 5-star plus reads for me. But there's something about the way I enjoyed this series that is going to probably make it one of my top series. It's one of my top reads of the year. And so we have her in this situation where she's now in the wild fae territory. That's the third kind of fae that there is. And I'm hoping we get a little bit more of that in the next duology, which is going to be Jazz's duology. But she's kind of learning about herself. She's learning a lot more lore. She goes with Finn to like Finn's hometown and she really falls in love with Finn there. You learn a lot of different fairy rituals and cultural things, some holiday stuff. And I'm not going to give away the big spoiler at the end, but in the end, she does pick one, but they kind of decide for her too. Like, she doesn't have to hurt anybody. That person kind of sacrifices himself. It's definitely self-sacrifice at the end. And it is stinking good. It ends with our girl Bree on the throne of the Unseelie Court. And it is really freaking good how we got there. I'm a book 2 girly. I loved book 2. There are some scenes with Finn and her in book 2 that I absolutely loved. The waterfall scene, if you read these books, when you get to the waterfall scene, you'll know what I'm talking about. Amazing, amazing, amazing stuff. I loved this series. 5-star plus for both of them. If you like romantasy, pick these up. They're going on my shelf. They are my babies, my children now. I get so much joy too, you guys, out of stamping these darn things. I know that sounds so silly, but doing my little stamp, it's so fun, and I enjoy doing that. But yeah, definitely 5-star plus reads for these. For me, I thoroughly loved them. I have Lee Bardot's Ninth House and Hellbent on hold at the library. I am nervously excited to read that one. It's coming up. I don't know when it's going to drop in the library. I might end up buying the paperbacks. I don't know. Maybe treat myself. We'll see. But yeah, I've got still a bunch of stuff to read. I picked up this one in kind of for Valentine's Day. It's the next book I'm reading, and that's Al Kennedy's Graham Effect. I've heard some really good things about this one. I'm really excited to read it. So yeah, we're going to read this book and see what we think of that one. And then I think the next fantasy we're reading is Light Lark. I have it on my shelf from my Christmas haul. Been meaning to get to it. So yeah, that is what's going on. If you like romantasy, cannot recommend these 2 books highly enough. And yeah, I will see you guys on Saturday and have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Bye now.